So you asked me what childhood influences affected my curiosity. The main thing that jumps to mind, but it's probably true for a lot of people, I hope, is that I had someone in my life early on who sparked that curiosity in me, and that was my dad. He was, early on in the semiconductor industry, someone who had enough science and engineering background, even though he didn't take a degree in those, to sort of spark that curiosity. Frankly, to just, like when as a child, if I'd ask a question like, what's that rainbow? I wouldn't hear stories of the fairy and the pot of gold. He'd
give a scientific
paper and show the circular droplets of water and total internal refraction, and it's like, wow, the world is explainable. It isn't a black box. And back in the 60s when I was growing up, things literally were not black boxes. You could take apart a television, you could take apart a radio and see a little bit about how it works, which is frankly a bit difficult today in the days of integrated circuits and synthetic biology. The things that we care about are so
more complex. The barrier to entry
that I worry
is
that
much
a new
higher.
generation misses out on that, and I would take apart stuff. So we literally would go to the junkyard and get old circuit boards just so I could pretend they were like I turned a shed into my imaginary spaceship. And I would tell Mom, no, you cannot come here to tell me to come to dinner because you're in the vacuum of space. What are you thinking? She remembers that one well. I'm like, Mom, you can't walk there. Anyway, the flip side though is that I did get a computer, Apple II, in 7th grade, and that was highly influential. And I see in my kids who are, computer native, how many of the things that a given generation takes for granted in terms of developmental cycles, like, wow, like you wouldn't be able to do this until that age, was just because that's when our educational systems expose you to the capability to do self-directed learning. And so I think anything that can promote self-directed learning, and obviously the MOOCs and online software and courses are going to be unprecedented. Right?
Okay.
So for example, my son has taught himself 7 programming languages, calculus, for example, he got a 5 on the AP test for calculus and Java in grade school, all self-taught.
Wow, okay.
It's not because he is pretty smart, but it's like these resources, the ability to learn on Wikipedia. And,
Are at fingertips.
It's amazing. So there's other kids who've designed fusion reactors in high school or developed an incredibly low-cost hepatitis diagnostic that has better specificity and accuracy than any product in the market and costs like $1. By just doing some research of scientific papers online and poking around, and he just came up with it. No one believed it until he did it. These are not weird things. We've just grown accustomed to growing up without access to the world's information. So it's, back to that point about neuroplasticity and the aging mind, is young minds don't have a lot of wisdom or experience. They're just as capable as old minds to come up with great ideas. So if they have the prostheses of the mind, right, the repository of all known human knowledge online, imagine what they could do. In fact, they could run circles around us. Now, they may design silly products, they might do it to blow up their sister, who knows what they do, but they're capable, if they put their mind to something useful, of doing everything that adults do. So I think that's bizarre and mind-boggling to think about.
Interesting. At the same time, as you mentioned that, I was thinking about how, I don't know if you know Jun Yoon as well. He talks about how over time your mind crystallizes and you get into these habits because it's more easy to do what you've always been doing because that's led you to where you are.
That's right. There was a wonderful quote from the undergraduate thesis of Kissinger, of all people, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost a quote, that of all the myriad pathways that we imagined in our youth, we find as we wake up one day, or we find as we age, that of all those paths, our life has been one of progressive narrowing, which is, to me, a nightmare of a prognosis to say, I could be an astronaut, I could be a farmer, a fireman, I could be a whatever, I could be, we all were like that. And then I'm an accountant, CPA, and I'm in a career rut, and I'm never going to leave this career rut, right?
Over time, society hires a specialist, the people who are at the top of their field, not the person who's like 5th top of their field, generally.
Yeah, but I think that we're in an era of accelerating technological change. Any one career or opportunity will be more fleeting than ever before, and everyone has to just assume they're going to go, quote, back to school and move on to a new career a few times in their life, because their life will be longer, and there'll be more change.
All right. Gladly. And so do you have any
and
lessons
Jun, by the way, is
under...
doing an amazing thing, with his X Prize.
Yes. Oh, totally. I was just talking 2 days ago. I saw him at the Life Extension, or Health Extension salon.
So he's, if you don't know this guy, Jun Young, amazing guy. He's personally funding, I think it's $1 million he's putting up, to a cluster of startups. He's providing all of his patents that he's personally come up with on an alternative theory for just all of aging and disease, like all of it. Instead of trying to pick off any one of these things, the fundamental, and he believes, underlying cause that relates to the flight or flight mechanism and a sort of non-adaptive response that we have back from our hunter-gatherer days, that if you just address that issue, everything from pattern baldness to cardiovascular problems to mental, everything that we think of as the major, cancer itself, everything could be solved in one fell swoop with a different kind of intervention. And so he's putting $1 million and all his patents on the line for someone to run with.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very inspiring. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
hung out with him for a day as well.
I mean,
It's
Think
really-
about like private-public partnerships and stuff. I mean, that's unprecedented. I think. Well, I don't know if it is unprecedented. To me, I'm not aware of anything like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay,
You,
and
you
so-
look a little bit like him too, except for the hair.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay. I am Asian. Okay.
No, I wasn't that big of a
No, I'm just-
faux pas. No, actually, you look a little bit. You smile the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe I've hung out with him too much. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that,
so
that and Burning Man, probably, right?
oh, actually, oh man, I have not. But everyone keeps saying that I should.
You look like the kind of guy that he does. He goes there regularly. So
All
you
right.
should go,
I keep
he's
saying
in-
that, but I also want to like look forward to the novelty of something else that I would want to experience.
Well,
in
that's
the
pretty
future as
novel.
well, but
You're going to be full of novel
Right.
experiences if you go to that.
right, but then like there's this diminishing modularity because as soon as I go, then the next time I go to be only
Oh,
like
that's different
80%
every
as
year.
impressive. Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, some things are different. Life's
Okay.
different. It's 55,000 people. Things will happen.
Okay.
That differ from year to year.
Okay, and then lastly, I want to get like a under-minute lesson or like tidbit, a bite-sized thing that can get other people who watch this as interested in the similar fields as you are.
I think you just follow your passion. I think, I had, for whatever reason in life, a series of computer and rocket-related inspirations. I guess for adults, I'd say use your kids as an excuse to rediscover Mindstorms NXT, quadcopters, and rocketry. The toys are a lot better now for old people than they were when we were growing up. And then for the younger generation, there's a lot of information out there. And if
Right.
you can find someone who's as passionate about your quirky area of interest as you are,
Mentorships.
yeah, and it doesn't have to. It can be a peer as well.
Okay.
So sometimes I think the most important thing parents do is find a school where they can sculpt the social experiences of like finding peers who respect quirky interest in math or science or whatever it might be, and don't laugh and and sort of degrade that experience when it's fledgling. So, I mainly have at this point in my life advantage for parents because I haven't seen too many experiments other than my own in the long arc of life. So.
So I'm looking
Yeah.
for something like actionable that I can say, hey, just do this tomorrow and it will improve the rest of your life, or in some way, like just to take a look at the online course or something. Like you mentioned MOOCs and other things.
Yeah, you get a computer, get a 3D printer, get a robot if you can, or find a school that has one
Okay.
that you can tinker with. That's what Bill Gates and Paul Allen did in their youth. If you can tinker with the technology of tomorrow somewhere in the lab, maybe as an intern, you might get a head start on something that really is exciting and new, because technology is changing the fabric of society
totally.
everywhere, and it's like all that really matters going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks so much again.
Sure.
Really appreciate
Yeah.
it.